So I think it's been decided. Nikola Jokic is actually just a Jamal Murray merchant, if we're being honest.
I think
Jamal Murray comes back 16, 6, and 6, and they blow out the Houston Rockets. And Joker couldn't beat the Houston Rockets unless Jamal Murray was on the court. So obviously the science, the data says that that must be the case. But Ryan, there's just something. Let me ask you this. So when you think about Jamal Murray and you think about his importance to his team, and then even in particular for Jokic, what do you think it is about his game or his existence on the court next to Joker that allows for these 32, 15 assists, 10 rebound, 0 turnover games to happen in the first place?
I think first and foremost, it's got to be comfort, right? Like Joker's comfortable. He's at his most comfortable when he's got his guy on the court, and those two more than any players during the Jokic era have shared the court the most. That's sort of been the dynamic duo that has evolved over the course of these last few years. And Jamal, whenever he's been out, there's been a lot of stress that's been put onto Nikola's shoulders, whether it's because he's doing more scoring or more playmaking or anything like that. But also, like, it just feels like he has to work harder, you know? Like there's a lot of working harder when Jamal isn't out there. And whether that's because they can't do some of the things that Jamal can do on the floor, or if it's like not as comfortable, whether he's not as comfortable without his guy. I'm not sure what it is, but it feels like, I mean, they're peanut butter and jelly, man. Like they always go better together, even if they're great apart.
Well, I think there's something to having a dynamic scoring ISO pick and roll guard on the floor with you for Joker. And Reggie Jackson, I think as good as he is, he doesn't offer that. Facu Campazzo, Monte Morris, Will Barton, they just don't offer that. I think Jamal, when he's on the court, it just tips the scale of what you're able to do. And subsequently, what's funny is it's not just Jokic, but it's even the extension Michael Porter, because you saw Michael Porter 30, 10, and 5, obviously the game that he just had, which was maybe the best game of the season so far. And I think when Jokic and Murray are together, everything makes sense because there's just not a way you can truly take one away. For instance, if you want to try to trap Jamal, well, then you got Jokic in the short roll. If you want to try to ice, then you obviously have Jamal. He's fading to the baseline or fading to the middle of the court. And then, now he has a wide open mid range jumper. And then if you try to follow Jamal because you don't want to leave him by himself because there's that little gap, and then he kicks it back out to Joker, it just makes it so difficult to find ways to defend them at a high level. And I think for Joker in particular, his numbers without Jamal were incredible this season. But I think some of this is still, though, you can just tell like the way and the manner in which he's able to do it. He's really more ball dominant without Jamal. And so like I think it feels more different because we're not used to seeing Jokic dominate possessions like that. But they don't really have a choice if it's just him. But when Jamal's on the court, they have another playmaker, a lead ball handler, and they got somebody that can get in and out of action, and they don't have to be as dependent on him, which subsequently makes it harder for the defense to deal with him, which is why, again, you're just seeing these great performances ever since Jamal's come back from injury.
The other thing is, I was thinking about this last night, and I wrote about this last night after the game. They get the ball to the pocket so easily when Jamal is on the
Yeah.
floor. He is so good at that pass. There was one pass that he had where they're basically running a pick and roll all the way to the empty side. He circles all the way around and gets towards the
Mm-hmm.
paint and then takes one extra dribble, drags Alperen Şengün away from Nikola in order to make
Yep.
that bounce pass. And Joker just he catches the ball and he's wide open in the middle of the paint for the best floater shooter we've ever seen. Like he is unbelievable in that particular zone. And Jamal, I think, is the best on the team at getting it to his place and getting it to him comfortably and on time on target. Like Joker never has to reach around and he never has to pick up the ball off the floor. The ball is always accurate when it comes from Jamal. And I think it just comes from playing a lot over the course of several years. And those guys know each other inside and out. They know exactly what each other wants to do on the floor. And it certainly benefits them in situations like this one. He's not quite a Jamal Murray merchant, but it definitely feels like it's easier when Jamal is out there for him.
Yeah, I know the play you're talking about because the first thing that came to my mind was the Minnesota Timberwolves series. Jamal did a very similar thing. It was on the left side of the court. It was the empty side pick and roll, and Jamal again, went this direction. came back another direction, and then eventually Karl Anthony Towns had to fade off, and then he just dumps the ball a little dump pass down to Joker, and Joker just hits like a nice 6-foot jumper. And it's just funny because again, Jamal has so much gravity himself, which I think one thing that unfairly happens is that Jamal gets he gets less credit for being good, especially in the playoff setting, because he has Joker. Like, and people were arguing the other day, Bam Adebayo and Jamal Murray, like which one's more valuable? And again, I obviously think Jamal Murray's a better player, but people were saying that because Jamal plays next to a top 6 offensive player ever, that just makes his role that much easier. But I think again, functionally, you still got to do your job because we've seen multiple point guards play next to Joker and weren't even close to what he is. So I think some of this is, I think Jamal just has a way about him that he knows what he's supposed to do. He's super smart. And again, there's a chemistry there that it just makes it to where when Joker is on the court with him, man, like this year, including the Detroit game that he got kicked out in the first half, he's averaging 30, 14, and 10 without Jamal this season, which is great. 53, only 26% from 3, 81% from the line. I mean, that's pretty good. But they also went 6-5 in those games as well. So clearly there are things that he's able to do. And this is the thing about having an all-time great player. That all-time great player can always be all-time great. But what puts them over the top that wins championships is having another player that can rise to the level of an all-NBA, all-star caliber player. And that gives you freedom within the scope of what you're doing. And, bro, there's really this narrative being pushed out right now. Obviously, there's Jason Temp and Nursesh. They had a whole conversation the other day about, is Nikola Jokic the best half-court offensive player of all time?
Yeah.
And if you listen to it, and then, even if you just compare him to Steph or MJ or LeBron or Magic or Nash, there's reason to think that because, again, he's so big and he can do anything he wants at any point in time, and he can pass anywhere he wants, and he can shoot anywhere he wants, and he's a tough shot maker. And he has the easiest shot to get to that he makes at a 70% clip, which is the floater and the hook.
Right.
So when you put all that together, I can make an argument for it. But I think, again, when Jamal's there, it's just a different deal altogether.
It is just a different deal. And I like the way you frame it where Joker is going to be an all-time great by himself, no matter who's playing with him. That's what makes an all-time great is no matter what the circumstance is, they find ways to win. They find ways to excel. But
Right.
there are levels to this, right? And we already saw it the last couple of years when Jamal was out and the team had a certain ceiling upon it where, hey, you put Facu Campazzo, you put Monte Morris, you put Will Barton in those situations. It's just different. And having somebody who's dynamic is going to make things a lot easier for the Nuggets over the course of this year. And I think that Jamal is still getting better. He's still finding ways to improve. He's seeing the floor better than he has ever before.
Way higher than it used to be.
Absolutely. 22 minutes his last game, 6 assists, 0 turnovers. It's like he never left.
Right.
It's crazy how he is able to do it. And the Nuggets are this symbiote. They can do a bunch of different things. They can mold into a different set of circumstances no matter what the situation calls for. And that's because Jokic is so great, but it's also because Jamal is too. He is able to come up in different situations, whether it's in the pick and roll, in the DHO, running off ball, running on ball, and doing ISOs. There's any which way you need him to do it, he will be able to, and that's what makes him such a great pick and roll partner.
Right. Well, y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Do you think that Jokic is a Jamal Murray merchant? And then if not, why do you think Jamal Murray is able to amplify what Nikola Jokic is doing so well? Let me know in the comment section. Subscribe to Mile High Sports. Like, share. Make sure you tell people where you like getting your favorite Colorado sport and Denver Nuggets content.